Hi everyone. It was quite the weekend for Chinese New Year, wasn't it? Took a lot of time off just to play some of the new games that came out and get even further in my other files this weekend. I also kept up on my runs and at a gradual pace, and I enjoyed every moment for what it was. But I completely forgot about the days and didn't journal or anything that is normally supposed to relax you. So I spent most of this morning trying to catch up on everything. Luckily, it wasn't too much to catch up on. I was able to create a huge amount of journal pages and catch up on some of my writing and some of my other tasks. I even had a nice time having a warm bubble bath. And it's because it's been a long while since our grocery store has stocked our Japanese bubble bath. And it's usually nice and chamomile scented. Very relaxing. Then I had my morning meeting with everybody to catch up over the weekend. And did a little bit of jogging at the same time to deliver the mail and then catch up on my exercise because I slept in a little bit too. Today it'll be a game Zatsu where I'm going to talk about the games that I had picked up over the weekend and the games that I've been working on lately. The first one is the new Holo game. They had just released the trailer yesterday night before bed, and they're going to be a huge assortment of new characters and new levels and new upgrades and special bonuses for using a certain character more than once. Like if you used Mei a whole bunch of times or Fauna for a whole bunch of times, you'll get a trophy and extra health bonuses, things like that. It's going to be fun to see them in action. The first new character I want to use is Aki Rose and Choco Sensei. And perhaps if they ever bring in Watame Ne-chan, I'll playing as her. Definitely. It's all about whether they have time, because there are a lot of independent illustrators and animators on the staff, and they're doing it as a passion project. Everything's free, so they take all the time they can to make it the ultimate fan experience. The level designs for the new levels look amazingly exciting. So I'm looking forward to trying them out, see how hard they are, or if they're manageable, something like that. And everything comes out on February 10th. Until then, I'll be raising my characters' levels up, and then I'll be gathering coins to help fund the gacha game to get the new characters, and attempt hard mode with Fauna Ne-chan and Mei. As I want to, because if you don't play the game often enough, you're going to be out of practice, and you kind of need the gacha coins that you allot by beating a level. Because the upgrades and the new characters will cost that coin that you receive as a bonus for completing a level over and over and over again. And I haven't played it in a while, so I'm pretty rusty. The next one is Minecraft. Speak of the devil, I decided on the weekend on Friday to look for the Forest Mansion after seeing Koyori and Botan, and now even Rika from Ninja Sanji find one of those forest mansions. I went on a search to a village for a cartographer and then raised his level to master and played the map gacha, and I eventually got the seaside, the ocean map, and the forest mansion map. So I spent most of Friday night following the map all the way 12,000 blocks to the very near end of the world. And set up base there. Since I was in peaceful mode, it wasn't too bad. I just ended up taking out all the people who were the villains who were already inhabiting that mansion, and lighting it up bright enough so nothing would spawn inside it ever again. After I had set up everything in the forest mansion, I started building little pathways in order to make my way back home. I figured, may as well, since I had all the resources, a fox den, and a giant huge floral garden set up in 2 different cottages. However, after making several cottages, multiple walkways and bridges, multiple trails, a new Arctic fox den, a new farm with a bee sanctuary, I ultimately accepted my new fate. I would never be able to get back to point A. I would get 8,000 blocks close to it, halfway home, but no, it would be way too difficult to make it all the way back after I saw how vast the sea was on the last stretch on the way home to my first base. So I built 3 cottage rest points, and then I managed to find 2 flower biomes, 2 Arctic taiga biomes on my way back, so back and forth to the halfway point. So the sacrifice was well worth it. The only thing that I would miss from my old point was definitely the little waterfalls, but I can terraform once I turn creative back on. So I'm not going to be missing too much from my old world, because it'll exist within the all the treasures that I found on the way to the forest mansion. And I got a couple of allays out of the deal, so I'm kind of satisfied with my little task of traveling from point A to point B. And my new cottages look super stunning. And so does the little gazebos that I built and little the new farms that I made. So I'm not missing too much of it. So give or take, it was a well worth it trip to search for one of those forest mansions. Mei even tried it yesterday. I don't know, she didn't make it to the forest mansion that Kyla and them found, but she was able to make a base, and she's planning on going again in the coming week. It wasn't too hard for Rika to find it either, because she was just starting in her career in Minecraft. She's one of the new Nijisanji members. And Akari's the other. She hasn't played any of the Minecraft or the cozy games yet. Mostly multiplayer, Apex, and those type of games where you can team up and fight one another and just get competitive. Rika is more of a laid-back VTuber, so she likes her cozy games. And both of them were models. That's for their backstory. And then they love just relaxing and playing games and singing and simply just living their best life. The next game is Fire Emblem Engage. It arrived Saturday because the mail came late, so they only arrived Friday evening. No time to actually play it, and no time to actually go in the middle of the night just to pick up one game. So on Saturday morning, I went to pick up my book supply, which is mostly light novels, and Yen Press manga, and pick up some magazines. And then I went to pick up my collector's edition of Fire Emblem Engaged. It had an art book, a poster, postcards, and it even came with an expansion pack available on the first day. So I picked everything up then. I was almost tempted to keep the box until I saw the poster was the exact same as what the box cover looked like. It's what I did for Little Witch Nobita. I wanted to keep the box because Polka was on it. And I loved the way the art was. I still kept the big giant huge art box and all the postcards and the stickers and the fun extras for Little Witch Nobita. The same for Fire Emblem Engage. Mika Mama did her absolute stunning best for it. The landscapes and the characters and all the different nuances look stunning in Engage. The story is super moving too. I admit to crying in chapter 3. I won't spoil anything because technically each chapter builds on one another, and it's extremely sweeping and moving. And the gameplay is mostly Zone of the Enders tactics style gameplay, where you point and click to move the characters forward, deciding which character works best against which enemy. And then afterwards, then you get the whole RPG sweeping storyline. It's all voiced by the legendary Japanese voice actors and actresses. So I was torn between either playing it in English or Japanese, and I ultimately picked Japanese because I recognized most of the voice cast. Mostly the ones that I loved in anime growing up, and most of them were characters that played some of my favorite characters over the years. So I ultimately picked Japanese. And they even had one of the Violet Evergarden voice cast members play the main protagonist girl. So I was pretty happy about that. I played it in casual and normal mode because I didn't exactly want to worry about the difficulty level if I wanted to focus mostly on the story and building relationships and all sorts of things like that. When it comes to RPGs, that's my key, to focus on the stories and the characters and building up their relationships over the course of the game versus worrying about the skill issues that I probably would have in the game. Though I have played lots of tactic games, and Zone of the Enders was one of my favorites growing up. So I'm used to doing the tank build type games. So it wouldn't be difficult, it's just that I don't want to focus directly on that part of the game much. And I wanted to focus on Mika Mama's art quite a bit while I was in the gaming world. Mika Mama is Bei's artist mama. So it was fun seeing almost some of the nuances of Bei running around the different worlds, or at least the first 3 chapters that I managed to get through. After the emotional turmoil of chapter 3, I decided to just take a break a little bit from it to focus on the Minecraft. And then I plan on unlocking even more cast members as the game progresses. Then I plan on focusing my attention on the Neptunia Senran Kagura ninja game that I picked up the day before Fire Emblem Engage. I love Neptunia, and Vert is my favorite character because I really love big sister type characters, and Vert is definitely one of them. I also like Neptunia's little sister, mostly because of her voice actress, Yui Horii, who has played many of my favorite anime girls over the years, like Kotori from Da Capo and Naru from Love Hina. She's always been one of my favorite voice actresses, and I always loved her music and singing. I would sing along with her to many of her songs in high school and junior high. It was one of my favorite things to do because my vocal range is close to hers, a soprano alto range. So I usually sing along with her very, very well. And then but nowadays I sing a lot along to Mei Mei and Watame Nei-chan and Fauna Nei-chan. So I'm around that range. Not as strong as Iris's vocal range. She's still got laryngitis, so technically she's trying her best to recover from her cold and hopefully be able to talk sometime soon. She's getting antsy about not being able to speak anything. Rainey has a bit of a cold herself and had to be rushed to emergency the last couple of days. She's fine now. They have her on medication and she's slowly on the mend. So she's getting better quite a bit, and eventually she wants to go back to doing some video games and try out that new Minecraft section. Iris just wants to do a Zatsu or something that is easy to get into before she goes hardcore into streaming again. Hopefully she doesn't rush it until her voice completely heals. Lana says that she might play it eventually, but she doesn't want the English server to be completely forgotten, which I don't think it will, because the Japanese have played their individual servers, and so has the Indonesian branch. So the new server is if people want to try something completely new and completely separate from their old world. An example of this was Mei Mei, who brought most of her enchanted tools with her, and her Elytra. So, yes, the new server, you can bring whatever you want, but you can start completely from scratch as well. Or mix up both. It's what you want to make of it. But it's going to make collabs a lot easier. And like Mei Mei said about Rust and this new Minecraft, being able to be in one whole world all together would make collabs a lot easier and more fun, because you're never alone in the server, because at least somebody's going to be there, and you can do so many different chaotic collabs and talks and discussions with people that you've never seen before, or probably never had a chance to talk to one-on-one. That's what I kind of gets me interested in trying it in my Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch server thing, just so I could see if I could run into different users and talk to them and build with them. But at the moment, I'll stick with what I have and be glad that I've progressed far in my Minecraft journey, that I can learn the different exploration techniques like mapping and building weapons, enchanting, all those sort of things that my brother is already an expert at, and I'm just starting at. I did have interest in it a few years ago, but I never actually gave it a go until I received a Nintendo Switch and explored what it really was, and discovered that I probably like it quite a bit, including my little Arctic foxes and normal foxes, the honeybees, and the cute little pandas, and the sheep, which I try to play creative so I don't have to end up killing the sheep just to get a single bed, because you have to get 3 sheep to build a bed. And after meeting Watame-ne-chan, you kind of don't want to kill sheep, because they're so cute. So are foxes. They're absolutely adorable. And if I could find like a big 10 or 12-inch plush version of a Arctic fox, you can guess that I'd definitely buy it. In the coming weeks, I'll be getting the new bread doggo from Santa as birthday merch, which I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to getting the iris keychain and finally get the Gura dinosaur plushie. All because Japan opened their postal branch to Canada once more. Back in the day, they would only have DHL, so technically you'd have to pay double the amount of that you paid originally just to get your items like the Japanese would. For my Watame plushie, I had to pay equal price for both the plushie and for the shipping. So overall, I had to spend at least 300 plus altogether for just one single plushie that would only cost about 180-ish. It's which makes me grateful that Japan Post and Canada Post finally renewed their partnership, and the pandemic finally opened everybody's borders. Because that was a pricey time period, to say the least. And Canada felt like a third world country because nobody would ship to us. And we had to not get our items while everybody else around the world still did. The US had some of the issues, and then they opened up, which gave us another 3 or 4 month wait after that. It was kind of painful, and a lot of the whole Live members never got their merchandise either, so it was a really, really bad time to be an anime, gaming, manga, VTuber fan if you wanted merchandise. Even Liz Lisa, the clothing brand that I would ship from, had troubles and would default to DHL because that was the only way they could guarantee 3-day delivery. The good thing about the yellow DHL one is that they do bring it to the door, and they always email you every step of the way to tell you, this is what the duties are, this is what the handling is, we're at the door, and then afterwards, we delivered it. So DHL really is a nifty company in that regard, despite the prices being rather expensive. Canada Post and Japan Post are comparable when it comes to shipping. All you have to pay is the handling at the very end, usually. Just at the door, which makes it a little bit more convenient that way, unless you consider paying beforehand on the internet more convenient. It's a give or take. It's kind of similar to the Hobonichi store. They do Japan Post usually too, and DHL, and FedEx. So technically, they've been good over the pandemic too. How did I enjoy Chinese New Year? with all the games that I've been playing and everything, it was very, very relaxing and safe at home. All we had was a Chinese New Year feast of different Chinese food. So working out afterwards made the extra carbs a little bit more worthwhile in some retrospect, and I could see some of the celebrations on the television or online, or in my case, I went to Mayfair and saw some of the festivities there. It was a little safer too, because in California they had that scare at their Chinese New Year festivities. Puts a damper on a holiday when someone can't behave themselves, and ruins it for everybody who lives in that area. Scares them a little. And it also makes you happier that you live where you live, because you're safe and you're blessed that you didn't have to deal with it yourself in person. You didn't know anybody in that situation or something like in that regard. Thankfully, they were able to solve the issues, and it wasn't as tragic as it could have been. Though I can't say for sure, and I do sympathize with everybody who were hurt or troubled and caused tragedies too in that situation. In any case, we were lucky here that everybody got to enjoy it, and they have the lion dance coming soon, and we have the fireworks and all the normal celebrations that we never got for about 2 years because of the pandemic. We have the museum, and we have all the different festival foods that are famous for Chinese New Year. All for the year of the rabbit. One of my favorite years. I'm a year of the rat myself. And they said that streaming like this and doing anything entertainment-wise, I would be very successful, which I'm pretty proud of. I didn't expect it myself to hear those words in the newspaper. And my friends are going to be having a good year too, and so is my brother, who is a rabbit, just like my mom. And my dad is a dragon. So we celebrated our good fortune and the good weather that we've been having lately, despite being super cold in the mornings and the afternoons because of the polar vortex that is coming into Canada in the next week and a half. I refuse to say the 4-letter word that starts with an S, because it's not my favorite type of weather. Neither is the 3-letter word that starts with an I, ice. Both snow and ice are not so fun to run and walk in. If you're normal, walk to different appointments, walk to different classes, and a walk to get exercise type person like I am, because the roads are too slippery, and bundling up is not usually fun to be doing every single day and not seeing the sunshine each day. I like a perfect balance. That's why I said I was happy if it was a spring world, because the weather is not too hot and not too cold, and you can wear t-shirts and skirts and all sorts of warm weather outfits. We can also do that in summer too, but sometimes summer can get too hot, so perfect balance is usually spring, where you can wear nice light clothes and fancy ones even. And there's less mud slips here and there on the roads, because trails can get super muddy unless they are well maintained all year round, which our Cedar Hill Trail is now doing year round. Because sometimes prior years, before they started maintaining them, the mud puddles and piles of mud on the trail were really, really deep. And you couldn't, there was trails that you had to avoid because they were not exactly the most sturdy. Now you can do it all year round and not have to worry because they pad it with gravel and extra wood chips. So you don't have to worry about the giant huge piles of mud. I still use the streets more for my runs because it's well lit and it's a little bit easier on the knees to lightly jog around. When I say jog, I mean jog, or at least 1 or 2 levels above a walk. So it's kind of a trot versus full out run or sprint. Because there's different terminologies for the idea of jogging and running and sprinting. And it's hard to pinpoint what the best thing is for you to be calling it. I mean, mine is just above fast walk. That's how I can at least put it in some retrospect. I'm getting better at it each week, or every other day that I do it. I'm less winded, and I can keep a steady pace all throughout. And when I run, I don't have to do as much walking afterwards to catch up on my 10,000 steps, which is a nice thing. Still have to get my water and coffee a little bit afterwards, but I consider it more of a reward now than I did before. Thank you for listening. Hope you play a little bit of video games too, and try some of the ones that I mentioned today. Thank you, and please subscribe.